Hi traders, it's Roberto for Forex Circle. In this tutorial, I'm just going to be covering trading sessions from the beginning and the opening of each session, the opening and the close. And I'm also going to be talking about the 1 hour scalp system. And I'll break up this tutorial into 3 parts. And the second part, part 2, I'll talk more about candlestick patterns. So let's get started. Just to give you an idea of what the money, where the money is in Forex, and what I'm talking about is when we have a change in sessions, like we had a change from Tokyo to Singapore. There's usually a change in trader sentiment. Usually you get a change in price direction. So these are the best time to trade the markets. So the Tokyo Open, and then you could have taken a trade north, gotten out around the Singapore session, reverse your position and take a trade going south until we got to the London session, and then we look for a candlestick pattern around the London session that tell us that this is either going to continue south or turn around and go north. And usually the market sentiment changes from open to close and entering another session. So between 2 to 4 a.m. Eastern, there's a window of opportunity, and there was our window. Market went up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 8 a.m. Here we have a clue that this run from the London session was pretty much over. And it tried to print higher, and it couldn't go any higher than the top of this, the swing high, the spinning top. By 11 and 12 noon, which is the London close, the market pretty much retraced. Let's look at some other pairs. Pound yen, pound Aussie going in the opposite direction. Tokyo Open sold off. Singapore Open retraces. London Open turns around, goes the other way. But we had a news event that pushed price even further, and you could have taken this trade, but you would have to have gotten out before 11 or 12 noon because there was a retracement. We took this trade. I managed to capture a small amount of pips, and I know I needed to get out of that trade. I was thinking of putting a break-even stop loss, and then I changed my mind. It is going to print lower the next few days, but I wanted to take profit and then re-enter up at these levels. Okay, so again, change in sentiment from the open to close, from one session to another. Here's the Tokyo, sold off. Singapore retrace. London goes the other way in the direction of the trend, and you notice the trend is down. Okay, and then we had a news event, and by 12 noon, this whole run was over. Here's another pair. Aussie New Zealand dollar, which was in a tear, didn't even really retrace. This is the Tokyo Open. There was a bit of retracement before the London session. London took off north. By noon, price was pretty much exhausted. We had a color change candle, and price did retrace. Now, I don't think you would have made much money on this retracement, about 18 pips, plus the spread would have probably given you about 10 pips. But again, we have a change in sentiment. Price went up from Tokyo, and then around before the end of the Singapore session, it retraced. London Open resumed its trend, and then by noon it's pretty much over. And now we're seeing the market turn around and go north in the direction of the trend, and we're heading into the Australian markets right now. And here's the setup on oil. The same thing. Here's a takeoff right here, this arrow indicating the Tokyo Open. And then here's a Singapore Open reversing. You could have taken this trade using the color change candle system. And here, this arrow indicates the London Open. We have a color change candle. Market went up, pretty much over by noon. So just remember, when we trade, and we're in a trade and it's getting close to noon and we're up, we have to think about getting out of that trade, because usually on any currency pair, by noon Eastern time, the markets are pretty much exhausted if they've done the daily range. If they've been consolidating, that's a different story. We would trade that differently and treat it differently. But here, the market on oil just shot up 195 pips. By noon, it was pretty much over, and you can just tell by the retracement that it was pretty overbought. And this is an opportunity to sell right there. Color change candle after 5, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles consecutive followed by a color change candle, and you place your order 8 pips below this color change candle, stop loss above the swing high. So let's talk about 1 hour scalp system. Very simple, very easy to execute. All you're doing is waiting for a color change candle. Now you only need 2 candles of the same color to qualify, but I'd rather see more than 2 because the markets, if they move over 100 pips, and in this case on Aussie New Zealand dollar, which is 100 pips is about the daily range, then you have a better opportunity to trade on the retracement and make more money. You don't trade the 1 hour scalp system during consolidation like here. Notice this area? It's all consolidation. There's no trade to be taken using the 1 hour scalp system. Okay? It's only when the markets really move, like here. Price shot from the low to the high, 98 pips. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 green candles followed by a color change candle. Now, we're in an uptrend. You only want to capture the retracement. You're not interested in staying in this trade. You're going against the ebb and flow of the market. So your trade was here. This went down about 45 pips. If it goes up 100 pips or down 100 pips, you should be able to capture at least 30 pips on a trade. Okay. And then it retraced, and what happened? This is a much better trade because we're going in the direction of the trend. So here's a color change candle, and you place your trade up here. The market went all the way up to the most recent swing high. That was about 30 pips. Sold off, found support. We had a color change candle here, but notice that price didn't go any higher. Okay, and we didn't have consecutive candles here, so we couldn't really take this trade. This was a different setup. This, you would have traded it using the inside bar, mother candle, baby candle setup. And an inside bar is simply that. It closes, opens and closes inside the previous bar. There's your trade when the market breaks above the mother candle and you enter in the next candle. It's really imperative that you wait for this candle to close because this could turn into a false break, turn around and head south. But it didn't. The body closed above the mother candle. You would enter a trade on the next candle, take the trade going north. Okay. So that's it on the 1 hour scalp system and the trend trade session changes. And next tutorial, I'll talk more about candlestick patterns, false breaks, all the candlestick patterns. And there are not a lot. There's only a handful. There's probably maybe 20 different ones. And I don't even look at any of those. It's just a handful. This mother candle inside bar is one of them. Here's a false break setup right there. This is another setup, but we have resistance and then a false break, and you take a trade on the next candle. The only thing is, I don't like trading false breaks on a strong trend. I'd rather see a false break when the market is retracing and then wanting to turn around and going north again. Okay, so see everyone in the trade room tonight, and I'll send this off as soon as I can, and then I'll start the other tutorial as soon as possible.